Hi guys, this is Jen, Freedom 101, a YouTube channel for the people at large. Today I want to talk about the law of private right, individual contracts, and the Constitution. Every system of law is based on the general principles of natural right. The chief part of the law is the law of private right. The term the law has various meanings. This may be because there are various ways the law can be written, probably too many to list since every contract contains specific laws according to what's agreed upon in the contract. Corporations make laws for its employees. Governments make laws for its employees and lands. A king may make laws. A family may have their own laws, and each man and woman may have their own laws that we may usually know as principles. Religions have laws, customs, and rights. Man is born with rights, which can be said to be laws, and he has the right to change those laws when he sees fit. He has a right to give up his rights for what he believes is a benefit. Contracts have rules that everyone in the contract must follow. It has to be first an agreement. You cannot have a contract by force. This is called a contract under duress, and contracts under duress by force are not legally enforceable. It has to be an obligation. So if you get a driver's license, you must then agree to the terms of the contract, which have rules such as the rules to driving on the road. When you do not follow the rules, you are obligated to pay a fine. Contracts between individuals and other individuals or corporations and other corporations are private contracts or individual contracts. The government cannot make contracts with individuals. They can only make contracts with classes of people. So when you receive your birth certificate, where a parent has agreed that you are a class of people called citizen, you ratified the contract at the age of 15, 16, or 17, whenever you were getting your driver's license. You ratified the contract and became a class of persons when you filled out the W-2 and signed it. If in fact these are contracts with the government, they may be contracts with corporations that appear to be governments. When you make a contract, you cannot receive a benefit, and then when it comes time to come through with the obligation, turn around and say, well, I have constitutional rights. This is why it made complete sense to Harry Reid when he said taxes are voluntary, because the contract is voluntary. But if you don't pay, he said, you go to jail. Because once you agree, you obligate yourself to pay. When you get a driver's license, you agree to the terms of the contract, which is the code and the regulations. And then when you get a traffic ticket, you go to court and claim that you have a right to travel, which you don't, because you gave up that right for some benefit, the benefit being the driver's license and police protection. And there is no judge or justice who will void the contract to aid you in getting out of a ticket when you agreed by getting the benefit of the driver's license. You cannot get the benefit without the obligation, and you can't be obligated without the benefit or the agreement. So you can't get the driver's license obligating yourself to follow the rules and also get the benefit that directly contradicts that benefit you got from the driver's license, being police protection by claiming a constitutional right and freedom to travel. So you cannot travel freely and not have a contract for a driver's license. It is the same with Social Security, taxes, paying the IRS, getting a mortgage, leasing an apartment, or any other thing that requires a contract. Once you agree, you are obligated. With taxes, with mortgage, you cannot claim that you have a right when you gave the right away in order to receive the benefit. You cannot ask the bank for money, get the money, live in the house, and not make the payments. There are some situations where things vary and they're not all the same with everyone. I am not an attorney or a lawyer. I don't participate in the legal system. And I believe that if you get a contract with the government or a corporation that appears to be the government, then you have just obligated yourself to follow some statute, code, or regulation. So before you decide that you want to claim a right, you have to make sure that you didn't first give up that right somewhere when you agreed to some kind of contract. According to the principles of the law of contracts and torts, there are several types of contracts. Contracts of record, contracts under seal or specialties, simple contracts, express contracts, inferred contracts, implied contracts, executed contracts, executory contracts. I'd like to talk just for a minute about implied contracts or inferred contracts as opposed to express contracts. So express contracts are those whose terms are expressed in some written document or by the words of the parties. Inferred contracts may be, as a matter of fact, inferred from the conduct of the parties, and implied contracts are contracts which the law implies independently of any express or inferred agreement by the parties. So I believe what it's saying here is that inferred contracts, because they're inferred by some sort of conduct, that when you are stopped by a police officer, sheriff, marshal, what have you, and they say or ask for a driver's license, they say driver's license or may I see your driver's license? Once you give it to them, you are inferring the contract with them. Once they have the driver's license, the contract is no longer inferred, it's express, because they then have proof that you have signed something agreeing to the terms of the statutes, codes, and regulations.